Hey guys, this is our skull and features redo. We're starting with the eye. We're going to draw a ball inside the eye socket, so a rounded form. Think about a ping pong ball fitting inside there. And we're going to take our eraser and we're going to lift off some of the shading that we had initially so that we can put in the iris. And we're going to shade the iris in, and then we'll add in a pupil. So now we've got our eyeball in there, and we're going to be putting our eyelids on. So I'm going to draw a large eyeball over here with an iris and a pupil. And we're just going to draw a very light straight line through the whole center. And the reason why we want to do that is because just below that midpoint on the inside is a small U. That's your tear duct. So we're going to do that here on our drawing. We're going to go inside and draw the tear duct and shade the tear duct in. And now from the tear duct, we can roll an arc across the ball, covering over the top of our iris. There you go. The part of the iris that is covered over is going to vary depending on who you're drawing. And so whenever you cover over part of that iris, then you can go ahead and erase part of the iris that we don't see anymore. Now the bottom eyelid is coming from underneath the top eyelid, and it's going to go across and not cover over the iris. And we're going to draw two lines right next to each other, forming a thickness of skin that represents that eyelid. Now that happens to be an up plane. That means the light that's coming from above is going to catch that, just like the plane of your forehead. So your forehead is facing up. So any light that's on the ceiling or the sun is going to hit this and lighten it up, whereas your glabella is a down plane. It's facing the floor. So the plane right here that we defined is actually an up plane. It's catching the light. All right, we're going to say goodbye to this little drawing, and we will draw our nose. So let's add another piece of paper right next to it so we can do that. So for our nose, we have our glabella and nasal cavity with the nasal spine. The nose itself is made up of three rounded forms, a large one in the middle, and then two smaller rounded forms on either side. So in order to do that on our drawing, I'm going to take my eraser and lift off some of the shading that we did earlier. And we're going to go ahead and put in the three rounded forms, large, and then a small one on either side. Now those two smaller rounded forms contain the nostril. So these are the wings of the nose. The nostril looks like, hold on a second, it looks like a teardrop over the side. The nostril. We're going to put that in here. The point of the teardrop connects to the rounded edge of the large ball over here. And then we can shade in the nostrils. So I'm going to do that in here, and in here. Now, the thing that we want to add underneath is a shape that reminisces the glabella. It's called the septum. And it's just underneath that large ball in the nose. One of the things that we need to define is what we call the top plane of the nose. So I'm going to draw a shape that looks like this. All right. That's going to be the shape that's in here for the top of our nose. And it's going to come down 2/3 of the way on that large ball in the middle. So let me do that over here. 2/3 of the way down on the large ball for the nose. Once you have that established, you can put an arc across the wings leading up to that line of the top plane, this bottom part here. And then you can shade up to those edges so that it helps us to see the down plane, which is the underside of the nose. So I'm going to do that over here and over here. Then I'm going to go ahead and shade in the underside of my nose. Now there's something really cool happening in the midsection of our nose, and that it is known as the sections of cartilage. So I'm going to draw my nasal bone back in. I'm going to put a line straight down the middle. And I'm going to bring this curved side of the center of the nose in towards that midline. And that will help to show the 4 sections of cartilage. So over here, I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you can see that our nose is broken down into 4 sections in this area. Those sections will be altered as far as size and shape when you're trying to get likeness of a person. Now, the distance from the nose to the chin is actually 2 eyes, just like the distance from here to the glabella. We're going to take that and divide it into 3 parts so that the top third is going to represent the philtrum, the middle third will be the mouth, and the bottom third is going to be the chin. So we drew a circle because we're calling it the ball of the chin. Now I'm going to lighten up the teeth that I have drawn in here so that they don't interfere with the lips. So you'll just see a ghost image of them on this video because I want to add one more piece of paper for the mouth. So we'll move this one out of the way and we'll go ahead and add this one right next to it. All right, so here is our philtrum. Here's the ball of our chin. So this midsection here is going to be made up of 3 ovals for the top lip and 2 ovals for the bottom lip. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the top lip here, 3 ovals, 2 ovals for the bottom lip. We're going to take the bottom of the philtrum and mimic it right here and add 2 small peaks on either side. And then connect all 3 of those top ovals together to create a shaded in down plane known as your top lip. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Connect all 3. And there you go. Now the bottom lip is an up plane, so it's in light. But underneath the bottom lip, it's in shadow as it rolls across the top of that chin. And I'm going to move this drawing out of the way so that you can see the ears, which happen to be built from the side to look like this. If we have two small circles, this connection of the two circles and this outer ridge known as the helix leading into the concha, and there's a little flap right over that that connects in. And then underneath this helix, we'll have a shadow. And below the shadow will be what we call the antihelix, with another small shadow pocket dividing what we call the legs of the antihelix. And then of course, this is the lobe down here. And this is the tragus, which is the flap that covers over the ear hole. And then I'll just lightly shade in the concha. So that's the side view of the ear. Now we're going to do the front view of the ear. So from the brow to the bottom of the nose is where the ear is going to be. We should put our eyebrow in there. So the helix is going to come out like this, and then the antihelix will curve out in front. We'll see a little bit of the tragus as it leads into the concha, and then the lobe comes below. So we'll slide this over so we can do the ear on the other side. So again, the helix comes out, the antihelix comes out like this, the tragus leading into the concha, and then the lobe down below. And we don't want to forget about this little shadow in between the helix and the antihelix. All right, now we're going to add our neck. Notch of the sternum, clavicles. And we're going to pretend that our light source is coming from over here. We'll add some hair. Remember, your hairline comes down one eye. And we'll just lightly shade in all the hair as a value. There we go. The last thing we're going to do is put a light and shadow pattern. There's a cast shadow coming off the nose, going across the cheek. A cast shadow from the bottom of the nose going across the philtrum to the top lip. Cast shadow going from the top lip across the bottom lip. And a cast shadow going across the chin. Now I can start to shade in up to the lines that I just drew. So those are hard edge cast shadow lines that now help to connect a shadow passage. Adding in a little bit of couple curved lines that fill in some of the muscles on the cheeks, like the masseter muscle, which helps us chew. And we'll put some shadow on this side of the cheekbone. And we're even going to put our ear completely in shadow. Put a little bit more shadow on this side of the forehead. And I'm going to put part of our eyelid in shadow and the eyeball itself. And even some of that ridge that we first drew and underneath it a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is take my eraser and I'm going to go in and I'm going to remove a little bit of what we drew on this side of the bottom eyelid so that it almost creates a passage of light going through here, which removes this line. Put some shading above the eye into the eye socket a little bit. And there we go. And then we can put a cast shadow going across here as well. So we could carry our shadow down into our neck. And there we go. All right, guys. I hope that that this video finds you well and that I hope it's helpful for you. Enjoy, and we'll see you in class.